Hello friends, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. It's a big story. According to Alex Crook from TalkSport, Arsenal are set to make 5 to 6 signings this summer. This is a story that comes a while after, of course, David Ornstein confirming that Arsenal do have a couple of positions they want to look at this summer, including right back, centre back, left back, 2 central midfielders, and probably a forward as well. Of course, there is Champions League football to talk about. There is the new Arsenal that is going to be, every single season trying to win the Premier League, probably at least win some silverware every single season. And Mikel Arteta says this is the time to revamp the squad. This is the time to get to the next level. And maybe where Manchester City are, where Liverpool are, where clubs like Manchester United have been over the years, and hence winning silverware and establishing themselves as big clubs, that is where we want to be. So 5 to 6 signings, I think that is quite a number. It's quite a number. If you look at the last 2-3 transfer windows, we've been making around 3, 4, 5 signings, right? Last summer, it was around 4, with players like Zinchenko coming in, players like Vieira coming in, and as well as Gabriel Jesus. That was a very successful window. The previous window, we had actually signed around 5 to 6 players. And I can only agree with Mikel Arteta that even until now, the squad depth of this side is still very, very lacking. We need 3 or 4 more midfielders in there just to compete with Manchester City. We need another centre-back. I agree with that. We need a right-back. If Kieran Tierney leaves, then we need a replacement at left-back, and probably another forward to allow us to rotate Bukayo Saka even much better. So if we had to sign 6 signings, let me know in the comment box below, which players do you think Arsenal should be targeting? There is UEFA Champions League football, so the quality must be absolutely excellent. Do we need 5? Do we need 6? And if we were to sign 5 or 6, which names are we looking at? Which names should we be looking at? Hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 500 likes, and let's have the conversation right in the comment box below. Now, listen, TalkSport, through Alex Crook, their chief football correspondent, says that Arsenal are set to have another big summer with the UEFA Champions League football already confirmed. They will have up to 150 million guaranteed to spend without outgoing. So that means that with outgoings, Arsenal could be looking to spend over 250 million. Now, the budget that we have to spend this summer, I think I will do a video about that, because the Cronkies have been really positive about backing Mikel Arteta and Edu, and Edu is very, very positive that this is the summer where Arsenal takes the next step. But Alex Crook says that Arsenal are going to be looking at a very busy summer, at a very big summer, and this one might be where we look at bolstering the squad depth, and that is something that really hurt us last season. Someone asked me to do a video about why Arsenal collapsed, where it eventually went wrong, why we panicked, and I think I will do a video about that. But one of the reasons as to why Arsenal didn't win the league last campaign, it was squad depth. When we lost William Saliba and Thomas Partey was out of form, and players like Granit Xhaka literally frailed and froze, we were lacking options. Vieira has not been that kind of player that Bernardo Silva has been for Manchester City, that you can easily rotate him with Granit Xhaka or with a Gabriel Martinelli, so he was not really an option for us. I think at centre-back, Ben White playing at right-back, it just leaves us with no options there when Saliba picks up an injury. And Thomas Partey, although Jorginho did very well in the last parts of the season, but I just think if Moises Caicedo had signed, it would have been a much better and different story. So the 5 signings that we are looking at, number 1, we are looking at right back. Mikel Arteta seems to be thinking that it is high time he employed and deployed a real right back, and there are 2 options here. Ivan Frasneda, and Such a Boy. Now, there is also a Joao Cancelo, and for Joao Cancelo, I will do a full video about his transfer to Arsenal and whether there is a likelihood it could happen. Fabrizio Romano has said that we have discussed Joao Cancelo internally. He's one of the players on the list. There is nothing advanced. He's going to come back to Manchester City, or he has already come back at Manchester City, and he's expected to leave as quickly and also as soon as possible. Now, the market value is around 50 million euros. Manchester City are asking around 70 million euros. Barca are in there. They would love to sign him. I would love him to go to a club like Barcelona if he doesn't go to Arsenal. I don't want him to go to a club very close to the Premier League because he's such a good right back. He's such a good player. And for me, Joao Cancelo could be a fit for a right back, a right winger, a left back, and a left winger as well. That is how good he is, and that is how much I actually rate him. So Fabrizio says that we have discussed internally the option and the possibility of signing Joao Cancelo ahead of our search for a right back. We've also talked about Such a Boy at Galatasaray. Arsenal have offered around 17 million pounds, 17 million euros in an initial bid. That was turned down by Galatasaray, and the thinking is that Galatasaray will want around 25 million euros. However, I've also seen links and reports linking Galatasaray with Nuno Tavares at Arsenal, so probably there could be a swap deal in there, or there could be something. Look, I think Nuno Tavares is far more valuable than Such a Boy. He's been at Marseille. He's had a fantastic season. He's played in the Premier League. He's matured as a player. And Such a Boy, on the other hand, lacks any kind of experience in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe. So for me, Such a Boy could be a very interesting shot because Brighton are also looking at him. And if you're scouting a player and Brighton are also scouting the same player, these days you've got to think, well, I'm doing such a very, very good job. And finally, the priority at right back is Ivan Frasneda. We've talked about Ivan Frasneda in the first video today. It seems Arsenal could be able to sign him for a fee less than 20 million euros. So that is the right back position. And if we were to sign one of these, I'll definitely go with Ivan Frasneda over Joao Cancelo and over Such a Boy. What I like about Joao Cancelo is he brings that winning mentality. He brings the hunger to play, to want to play every single game. And he's such a quality player that he's one of those players that would play in right back positions or left back positions and will guarantee you 15 goal contributions per campaign. But why I think it's a bad deal is I think it's going to be a loan deal, like a season-long loan deal, and at the end, Arsenal might not decide to sign him. So Ivan Frasneda is a good deal. It's a cheaper option economically. That gives us a lot of more money to spend because we'll spend a few pennies at right back. But it's also very, very young. 18 years of age. There is a lot to deal with here. Like, those are like 10 more years of him being at Arsenal and proving that he's one of the best right backs in the world. So Ivan Frasneda is one of the top priorities on this list, on the list of 5-6 players that Arsenal will be looking at. Now, a centre back, I've only seen one name, and that is Edmond Tapsoba. I want to understand the emergency of a centre-back. But it comes in from the Athletics' David Ornstein that Arsenal will try to sign a centre-back. It's considered one of the key areas this summer. Now, remember last summer we tried to sign Lisandro Martinez from Ajax, but Manchester United, because they had Eric Ten Hag, and there was that kind of rapport between Ten Hag and Lisandro, he ended up at Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano has just said that Edmond Tapsoba should be a player to watch because Arsenal have scouted him for 2 years. They have been looking at his situation. They've been sending scouts for Edmond Tapsoba for the last 2 years. Actually, if I remember right, we've sent scouts for to watch Edmond Tapsoba for the last 3 years. I remember reporting about Edmond Tapsoba in 2019, 2021, and 2022. Now it is 2023. It's the 4th year, and we are still talking about the same player. Look, I I think with centre back, I might have to be a little bit ruthless here. I've loved Gabriel Magalhaes. He's been absolutely immense, crucial, wonderful for Arsenal. But could we do better? I think that's the big question. I remember talking about a centre back during midway the season, and I said, could Arsenal sign a player like maybe Alejandro Bastoni? Maybe. Just maybe like Alejandro Bastoni, maybe a player like Milan Skriniar, a player of that caliber, a player of that stature. And why I want a player like Milan Skriniar, Alejandro Bastoni, those are players that have been well established at centre back, okay? But Gabriel Magalhaes has done very well. I think this has been his third season at Arsenal, and you really cannot write him off. But if Arsenal and Mikel Arteta want a centre back, I think Edmond Tapsoba is a very, very good shot. Confident on the ball, still very young, only 24 years of age. Bayer Leverkusen have failed to tie him down on a very, very long-term contract. So I think it's one of those situations where you might have to overpay, despite the fact that his contract is coming down, but you might have to overpay because there will be some competition. Maybe Spurs will be looking at him now that they have a new, manager in Andrzej Postecoglou. They will be looking at him, and a few other clubs as well. They will be looking at Edmond Tapsoba. But I think Tapsoba would be a very, very good shot for Arsenal. One player that will be competing directly with William Saliba, and a player who will be competing directly with Gabriel Magalhaes. With all due respect, I don't think Jakub Kiwior is ready for that Champions League status. I don't think he's ready for that big stage. Why we signed him? Probably because we thought he's one of those, talents that are going to be very, very exciting. And of course, you need options. You look at Manchester City, they have Nathan Ake who can play as a centre back and a left back as well. You have Diaz, you have John Stones, who's been predominantly playing into midfield this season, but we know how good he is as a centre back. They have Akanji as well in there as a centre back, and Aymeric Laporte. So you need as many players in your squad as you can get. So a centre back is a sensible signing, and I absolutely agree with Mikel Arteta if he wants to sign in a centre back. And just to be particular, Tapsoba is a very, very good player. I would definitely take him at Arsenal. Now, if we lose Kieran Tierney, we'll be looking to sign a left back. I've not really seen so many left backs linked with Arsenal, but what I can confirm is Joao Cancelo could be one of the players that Arsenal are admiring due to his versatility. A very, very established right back who can also play left back, just like he was born there. And I think with Kieran Tierney, it's going to be very hard for us to keep him. Aston Villa want him. Newcastle want him. He wants to play every single season, every single game. He deserves it. He's one of the most hard-working players in the Premier League. And there is no reason to keep Kieran Tierney if the system clearly doesn't, favor him. Look, we are all Arsenal fans, and I know out there's so many people who love him. There's so many people who believe no way we let him go. And I'm one of that company. I'm one of those people who think no way you let Kieran Tierney go, because it's just against everything we believe in, right? If we are believing in a new era at Arsenal, an era where we keep our best players, an era where we keep the players that matter, Kieran Tierney must stay. But is he gonna play football? Probably not. Is he going to be part of the UEFA Europa League, UEFA Champions League, squad? Yes. But will he play? No. And that is what he wants. He wants to be playing every single time in the UEFA Champions League. So Newcastle would be a very, very good shout, but I probably give him to Aston Villa because Villa are not direct competitors for top 4, and they're also not direct competitors for the UEFA Champions League spots. That is why I would take him to Villa. I would give him to Villa, and definitely not Newcastle. But I think, again, Tierney is one of those players that will give us some kind of cash, some decent cash. Maybe Tierney, maybe Lokonga as well, and Xhaka, players that will be able to generate some good money, up to around 70-80 million for us to sign a player like Declan Rice. Now, the other positions Arsenal are looking at 2 central midfielders. These have been very, very clear ever since I came back to work. Rice, Viega, Gundogan, Caicedo, and a couple of other names, including James Maddison. But I think on top of the list is Rice. This is now confirmed. Like Fabrizio Romano and every other top-tier journalist has just said Arsenal will die to sign Declan Rice. The other player that Arsenal are really interested in is a difficult one, but Ike Gundogan is another player Arsenal will be trying to sign in midfield. Of course, Gabriel Viega, keep an eye on that one. Moises Caicedo, keep an eye on that one. And James Maddison, just because his price has gone down, it could also mean that Arsenal will want to take advantage of the situation. And finally, there's a probability that we would sign a new forward. Moussa Diaby is the name that has been making rounds. I think in the last 3, 4, 5 months, we've not really been linked with so many forwards. Ever since we signed Leandro Trossard and failed to sign Mikhailo Modric, it just feels like everything is calm when it comes to Arsenal signing a new forward. But I think we need one. With UEFA Champions League on the cards, Saka is going to have to play more games under more pressure, and that is not good for us. I think we will need to rotate him, and it's just about time. It's just about time we went out there and signed a player who can compete with Bukayo Saka. I don't see any damage in that. You look at City this season, they've had Riyad Mahrez, they have had Grealish, they've also had Bernardo Silva on the flanks, but they have Phil Foden as well, and Julian Alvarez who can play either on either flank. So for me, I think it only makes sense for us to have Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, and any other player. Now, I do understand the idea of us having Reece Nelson resign a new deal. And I do understand the idea of Arsenal having Emile Smith-Rowe around there, just waiting for his opportunity. But I think we've got to be ruthless now. We've got to be absolutely ruthless. If a player wants to stay, well and good, but they should be at immense levels. They should be able to be. They should be able to give us that quality on a more reliable basis. Emile Smith-Rowe, there's a doubt about that. The quality, no questions. The reliability, there is a question. But I'll be happy if Arsenal could sign a player like, Moussa Diaby, can play on the left, can play on the right, scores a lot of goals, has a lot of goal contributions, for Bayer Leverkusen in the last 2 seasons. But let's wait and see where that is going to end as well. But roughly, that is our summer plan, and that is how it's going to look like. 5 to 6 signings, a right back, a centre back, left back, 2 midfielders, and probably a forward. If there is any player, any name that you think Arsenal should be thinking about in this summer, slap that in the comment box below.